Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Aren't you glad college football is back? I mean, wow. That's all I can say, guys. Week 2 was one of the wildest weekends of college football that I have ever seen. It was truly unbelievable, guys. And this last Saturday was a prime example of why you play the game and that any given Saturday, you can be beat. No one was safe in week 2. No one was safe. In week 2, guys, separated the contenders from the pretenders, guys. 7 ranked teams went down. 3 of those ranked teams were in the top 10. 4 of those ranked teams fell to unranked opponents. 2 of them in the top 10 falling to teams in the Sun Belt. We're here to recap the absolute madness that was week 2, that will shake up the rankings, that will shake up the standings, and will really shake up the course of how the rest of this season will play out. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, here to break down one of the best weekends of college football that personally I have truly ever seen. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. Go sign up again, guys, for those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. We hit 70% of our bets this week. 70% of our bets brings our total to 15-8 on the year, which is 65.2%. So we are hitting over 65% of our bets through 3 weeks if you count week 0. You do not want to miss out on this, guys. We're better than 80% of the national analysts. Go sign up for those expert picks today over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Again, 65.2% through 3 weeks. And straight up, guys, our predictions have killed it so far. 42-12 in week 2. So despite all the major upsets, 42-12, 77.8%, brings our total to a perfect 100. 120 on the year. 83.3%. Pretty dang good considering what we just witnessed on Saturday. So fantastic week against the spread. Fantastic week straight up on the money line. We're making money and we want you to make money. Go check it out again, thegridironexpert.com. Go sign up for those expert picks. So let's just dive into it, guys. Let's dive into the week 2 recap. And let's start with the Sun Belt. Let's talk about the 3 major victories that the Sun Belt came to us. 3 major victories against Power 5 opponents. Let's start in Indiana. Let's start in South Bend. Marshall. We are Marshall. Taking down number 8, Notre Dame. 26-21. Marcus Freeman now becoming the first Notre Dame head coach to start 0-3. Remember, he lost the Fiesta Bowl at the end of last year when he became the permanent head coach of Notre Dame, lost last week to Ohio State, and now lost to Marshall. And that loss, inexcusable. The other 2, okay, they hurt, but okay. Marshall at home? Unacceptable for Notre Dame, who might very well fall out of the top 25 rankings. Marshall led this game, guys, 12-7 entering the 4th quarter. Notre Dame answered immediately. They were within scoring position. Took the lead 15-12 at the start of the 4th. And it's one of those games when Notre Dame took that lead back, you said, okay, they're good, right? I mean, you felt like it was one of those things where eventually the better team, in theory was Notre Dame, was going to wear down the smaller school. And they finally got that touchdown to get ahead by 3. You're like, okay, they'll close this out. And they couldn't do it. Marshall retook the lead 19-15 with under 6 minutes, 5:16 remaining. And then Stephen Gilmore, yes, relations to Stephon Gilmore of the NFL, one of the best cornerbacks in the league, had a 37-yard pick 6 just 3 plays after Marshall retook the lead. In that game, put them up 26-15 and just sealed the deal for the Thundering Herd. That pick 6 sealed the deal, and it was like you could hear a pin drop in South Bend. You could hear it. It was insane. Notre Dame, guys, 3 turnovers on the day, allowed 219 rushing yards. So this stingy Notre Dame defense that Marcus Freeman was going to pride himself on, 219 rushing yards to Marshall. Lost at home. Notre Dame lost to Ohio State. Okay, no big deal. Many thought they could win out after that. Now 0-2. Unbelievable. Marshall now a new member of the Sun Belt. Another member of the Sun Belt, Appalachian State, the Giant Killers, taking down arguably the most overrated team in the country in number 6, Texas A&M, 17-14. And we have nothing against Texas A&M, but we have said since the preseason that the Aggies were getting way too much hype. People thought they could make the playoff. People thought they were going to be Alabama again. People thought they were one of the best teams in the country, and the AP thought that at number 6. But I'll tell you one thing. Appalachian State, this game felt dangerous coming in here, right? The Mountaineers narrowly falling to North Carolina last week, a thrilling back-and-forth game. What was it, 63-61? It felt dangerous in College Station and the history that App State has playing teams close. They beat Michigan back in 2007. A couple of years ago, they almost took down Tennessee. A couple of years ago, they almost took down Penn State. All of those top 10 teams at the time. It felt like a dangerous game. In Appalachian State, the Giant Killers lived up to their reputation and took down the mighty Aggies. Outgained Texas A&M 315 yards to 186. Nothing close about it. Appalachian State was the more physical team from start to finish, in the trenches, through the air, on the ground. 315 to 186. They held Texas A&M and Haynes King and that electric offense that people were bragging about after a win over Sam Houston, held them to 97 passing yards and just 89 rushing yards. A&M didn't eclipse 100 yards through the air or on the ground. They shut them down. The Mountaineers forced 2 turnovers on the Aggies. A&M never led, and they missed the game-tying field goal with 3:43 left in the game. The Aggies guys simply were not the better team. They simply really weren't that good to begin with. 6th in the country very well could fall out of the rankings after this loss to a Sun Belt team. The Mountaineers are the real deal, so much so College Game Day now heading that way, and they deserve it. Boone deserves it. The Mountaineers pulling off one of the biggest upsets of the year over the 6th-ranked team in the country. 2 top 10 teams fall to 2 teams within the Sun Belt. And then one other game we talk about, because we're talking about the cluster of Sun Belt teams here, Georgia Southern ending Scott Frost's career in Lincoln. While he may not be fired on Sunday, he may not be fired until October, because that's when his buyout goes down. Scott Frost is done with Nebraska. The Eagles of Georgia Southern, now led by Clay Helton. Remember him, the former USC coach? Clay Helton, their head coach, beat them 45-42. The fans, they were chanting, "Fire Scott Frost, fire Frost." They were chanting it when the game was over. They want him gone, and he's going to be gone. They're going to get their wish. Nebraska guys allowed 642 yards of offense to the Eagles. The Eagles scored the game-winning touchdown with 36 seconds remaining in the game. When you look at the schedule, guys, Nebraska has Oklahoma next weekend and then a bye week. Very good chance that they're going to fall to Oklahoma, and then Frost could get fired at the beginning of October when that buyout decreases just a little bit. But guys, 3-0 for the Sun Belt this weekend, or at least not 3-0, but 3 major wins for the Sun Belt this weekend against Power 5 opponents, 2 of them coming against top 10 teams. That was just the tip of the iceberg when it came to the craziness of Week 2. How about we go back down to Austin, down to Texas, where the top-ranked team in the country looked nothing like that, beating Texas just 20-19. Alabama committed the most penalties ever under Nick Saban. 15 penalties for 100 yards. Very undisciplined and un-Saban-like football for Alabama against a Texas team that was a 20-point underdog entering the day. And guys, this felt like a game Texas should have won. With all the penalties that they were able to accept on Alabama, with the, you look at the field goal that Texas missed at the end of the first half, the missed chip shot, 20-yard field goal that A&M could have had to take the lead into halftime. The safety that Alabama avoided, that to me personally should have been a safety for the Crimson Tide, but the refs kind of bailed them out there. So many opportunities for Texas to win this game, and they just couldn't deliver. They took the lead 19-17 with under a minute and a half left, and then Bryce Young looking like Joe Cool out there, looking like Joe Montana, looking like Tom Brady, leading a drive that to me was very reminiscent of his drive against Auburn last year. Possible season on the line, needing to get some points, led the drive calmly, coolly, got them in field goal range. Alabama, who suffered some kicking woes in the past, hit the game-winning field goal with 10 seconds left after a 9-play, 61-yard drive. Alabama, very lucky to survive Austin. A very close game, a game that no one really expected to be close. Give credit to Texas and Steve Sarkisian. They deserve a lot of credit for playing Alabama and Nick Saban so close and nearly pulling off the massive upset. Maybe one that would have been bigger than that of Marshall's or App State. But ultimately, guys, what this showed me is that Alabama is vulnerable. Are they going to fix their issues? Yes. Their next 2 games are against ULM and Vanderbilt. They'll win both. They'll be fine. But Alabama is vulnerable. And that's a major cause of concern for the Crimson Tide, considering the toughest tests are yet to come for them. But an absolute thriller down in Austin, one that was almost so close to being an upset. 3 more games we want to talk about, guys. All of these ranked versus ranked matchups. And there'll be other games that we haven't talked about. We'll talk about those in our live streams in the coming days. So stay tuned for those. But let's go over to Pittsburgh, where number 24 Tennessee took down the 17th ranked Panthers 34-27 in overtime. That game, guys, to us, it lived up to the hype. It lived up to its expectations. It was just back and forth. It was a roller coaster of emotions. Pittsburgh, they were a 7-point underdog at home entering this game. They felt disrespected, and they went out to prove the doubters wrong, jumping out to a quick 17-7 lead. The defense was phenomenal against this Tennessee offense. But quickly, Pittsburgh found themselves down 24-17 at half. So they have 17 unanswered points. The teams went scoreless in the third quarter, and then exploded again in the fourth. The problem for Pittsburgh was they lost Kedon Slovis, their starting quarterback, lost him for the entire second half with what many were saying was an undisclosed injury. So Kedon Slovis knocked out for the entire second half. Nick Patty had to step in. He wasn't able to deliver. He got hurt too, was practically playing on one leg, and was still able to throw the game-tying touchdown with under 3 minutes left to get the game to overtime. Pittsburgh's defense, guys, they showed up. They tried. They had 2 fumble recoveries. They had a blocked punt on Tennessee, and yet still couldn't capitalize on all those opportunities where they could have won the game. Tennessee's defense, though, one that has been criticized and ridiculed in the past, stepped up, showed up when they needed to. 4 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss. Again, guys, this is one of those games where you hated to see a team lose. I mean, it's so even. Each committed 2 turnovers. Tennessee, 416 yards. Pittsburgh, 415 yards. A 1-yard differential there. It was so even. And I would venture to say that Pittsburgh probably would have won this game had Kedon Slovis not gotten hurt. But again, it's a shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's part of the game. Tennessee still worthy of this win, still deserving of this win, overcame a lot of adversity. Their defense stepping up, coming through clutch, which is quite the opposite of the storyline. Everybody wants to focus so much on the Volunteers' offense, their defense, making the plays when they needed to. The Volunteers showing that they are the real deal. Showing that they are the real deal and drastically improving and heading in the right direction under Josh Heupel. How about we stick in the SEC, where number 20 Kentucky upset number 12 Florida in the Swamp, 26-16. Kentucky getting their second straight win over Florida for the first time since 1976 and 1977. How about that? First time they've defeated Florida in back-to-back years since 1976 and 1977. This was an unbelievable defensive performance from Kentucky. And we said that in our Kentucky preview video. We'll be the first to say we predicted Florida to win. We did. And we own up to our losses here at the Gridiron Expert. Always do. But we did say that we thought Florida was extremely overrated. We said there was no reason that Florida should have gone from unranked to 12th after their 3-point victory over Utah last week. 12th was way too high from them. This game showed that they were not cut out for that spot. It also came out to show that Anthony Richardson was far from worthy of all the Heisman hype. He's a great player. Phenomenal. But we said in this game, we thought that Mark Stoops was going to shut down Anthony Richardson on the ground, and it was going to force him to throw. And we said we didn't feel too confident in his ability as a passer. I said, I want to see that. Can he deliver through the air? And he couldn't. Anthony Richardson, the star Heisman favorite for some, not us, but for some, went 14 for 35, so just completing 40% of his passes for 143 yards and 2 interceptions. One of those being a 65-yard pick six that gave Kentucky the lead in the late in the third quarter, a lead that Kentucky never gave up. They held Anthony Richardson to 4 rushing yards on the night. 6 attempts, 4 total rushing yards, after rushing for well over 100 last week against Utah. Unbelievable defensive performance from Kentucky. Will Levis, after struggling against Florida last year, delivered this year in the Swamp. Kentucky 2-0 will shoot up in the rankings, showing that maybe they or Tennessee are the second best team in the East, only behind Georgia. But unbelievable game in the Swamp. Huge win for Kentucky. Florida finally coming back down to earth a little bit after being drastically overrated and drastically overranked after their Week 1 victory. And then finally, guys, the last game we do want to talk about in our recap, one that had major national implications, another top 10 team going down. Number 21 BYU taking down number 9 Baylor, 26-20 in double overtime. You know, they put a graphic up during that game, guys. There truly was something in the air. Truly was. Under a full moon, beautiful full moon in Provo, we saw a missed PAT from Baylor. Missed PAT from Baylor late in the second quarter. We saw BYU miss the potential game-winning field goal at the end of the fourth quarter. And we saw both teams miss a field goal in overtime. Baylor missed their field goal at the start of the first overtime. BYU, another chance to win it, missed it in this right after Baylor. So Jake the Make for BYU, that was his nickname, became Jake the Shank because he missed 2 potential game-winning field goals. Didn't matter though. BYU showed out. Their defense got the stop in the second overtime when they needed to. The game ultimately, guys, was unreal, but to me the more unreal thing was the performance of Jaren Hall. We talked about how great this quarterback was for the Cougars, guys, and he delivered. 261 yards and a touchdown. He continued to put the team on his back, made the plays when he had to help his team get in position to win. He was delivering throw after throw after throw, was dangerous on the ground. Baylor really didn't have much of an answer for him. He delivered. He delivered. And BYU, a team that people were kind of hesitant on, taking down a top 10 team, showing they're legit. And the schedule, guys, is in a position where BYU maybe might not play the playoff, but they are in a position where they could be a dangerous team. New Year's Six team, flirt with the playoff. They still got Oregon. They still got Notre Dame. They still got Arkansas. They still got a dangerous ECU team. They've got Stanford. A lot of opportunities there on BYU's schedule to continue to make some noise on the national stage. But the Cougars will be a top 15 team, if not by the AP, definitely in our GE rankings that will be coming out tomorrow. But BYU handing a third top 10 team their loss on Saturday. And guys, with that, that's our Week 2 recap. I know it was a little bit long, but what an unbelievable weekend. I mean, this was unprecedented. Usually, a weekend like this isn't something we see till Week 6, Week 7, when things are starting to settle down and we're deep in conference play. But you know what? College football shows no mercy. It fears no man and no team. No one is ever safe when it comes to college football. And for us, the fans, it's truly a beautiful thing. Unbelievable Week 2 of college football, guys. We're just 2 weeks in, and we're getting all these fantastic games and these upsets, which means we are in store for maybe even a wilder season than we experienced last year. And to be honest with you, I didn't think that was going to be possible. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below too, guys, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Again, hitting over 65% of our bets here on the channel through 3 weeks. You do not want to miss out on that. Make sure to go sign up for those today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.